So if you see the same thing in humans, that would mean that the adult would have, say, a larger head, because babies have gigantic, stupid heads, or a flatter face, because babies have gigantic, stupid, flat faces. Hey folks, this is BestInSlot, and welcome back to the very first mod spotlight for Jurassic World Evolution 2 for 2025. The very best new decorations and species to kickstart your year. You're getting a little preview of one right now. We'll be checking that out in a little bit more detail at the end of the video. But before then, it's been a while since we did one of these videos. We have a lot of brand new species of dinosaur and non-dinosaurs to check out. Let's get started. And our first creature, slightly terrifyingly, is the Daeodon, coming to us from JoJo Chests. As per usual, all these mods will be linked in the description of the video down below. Hello, buddy. So this is Daeodon by JoJo Chests, an ungulate from North America between 30 to 16 million years ago. Not that old. Its name means dreadful teeth for reasons I think are pretty obvious when you get a good look at this thing. This Entelodont was discovered by the famed paleontologist Edward Drinker Cope. This thing was pretty bloody huge, as tall as an average sized man, with powerful haunches and that strange jutting skull, as you can see. So they were omnivorous, like all entelodonts. That's entelodonts, by the way, entelodonts. But beyond that, there is quite a lot of debate about the specific diet for Daeodon. Sort of patterns on their teeth suggest that they ate a lot of nuts, ate a lot of roots, ate a lot of vines. But it also suggests they ate meat and they ate bones. Now, Foss, who is a paleontologist, probably still is, argued that its head, this big old head here, oh hello with a big red thing, its head, this big jutting skull, why am I telling you what the head is? The head was too large to make it like a capable hunter, like it just wouldn't be able to run after things because it's got this massive noggin bringing it down, and maybe it would be a little unwieldy when hunting. However, Daeodon was a specialised runner. It has like the same biomechanisms as a bison does that makes it such a really good long distance runner, and as you can see here, it had stereoscopic vision, which is something that most predators have. So it's got all this, we know it ate, nuts and roots and stuff, but we also know it had a build of a predator, this amalgamation of features. And what that suggests is that Daeodon probably behaved similar to modern bears. Basically, it would eat whatever the hell it could get its hands on. It probably wasn't like the best hunter around. It probably preferred to scavenge and stuff like that. But if it had to chase something down, it's going to give it a go. If it gets a cheeky ambush or it sees something injured, it's probably going to be able to kill it. Oh, it's very dramatic. Anyways, this one has been lovingly brought to life by JoJo Chests. And yeah, it's a really, really cool looking model. It's got that terrifying head shape that you would expect and want, with the jutting out of the skull there at the sides. There's big floppy ears, and then the terrible teeth. What's it called? Dreadful teeth, and they certainly are dreadful teeth to say. No offense, buddy, but they are dreadful teeth, and rendered really well. They're sticking out of the jaw there, looking like a big hulking thing. I mean, this thing was 5'10" tall, something like that. The haunches up here, you can see it's got that sort of hunchback, that raised vertebra there at the front. It looks like a mutant monster killing machine. That's just what the world used to look like. We finally got a ceratopsid. We finally got a ceratopsid. So this is Diabloceratops by JoJo Chests. We're starting off with a JoJo Chests themed little thing. A really cool looking ceratopsid. A medium-sized one at that, from late Cretaceous of Utah. And by medium-sized, I mean, you can kind of see it. This thing was still 15 feet in length, which is even longer than myself. The devil-horned face, for fairly good reasons, as you can see, because of the demonic appearance of its horns and frill. Now, like the Jurassic World rendition of my beloved Pippo, the Sinoceratops, the Sinoceratops has like the holes in its frill in this sort of region over here. Diabloceratops had the same thing. It has, if you took away its skin, if you were coded that way for some reason, and you took away its skin, you would see these holes in the bony frill. And that's because it's not basal, but it's more basal than the ceratopsid that would come later. If you go, for example, and look at a Triceratops skull, you won't see those open fenestra in the skull, in the frill specifically, I should say. It's part of the skull, but it's part of the frill. So that is a underived feature. That's something that kind of got evolved out of, essentially. Now, the reason they have this is to make the head a little bit more lightweight, but of course you are sacrificing sort of strength and stability for that. So it seems that evolution decided over time that they'd rather not have a hole. I'm going to leave that one there. On the plus side, these would be a lot better for headbanging at gigs. So yeah, really nice to get a ceratopsid. I really like this one over here. I'm gonna jump around until I find you again, buddy. This one over here I think is beautiful looking. Really cool coloration, that kind of green and pink milieu going on. It's my favourite word to say nowadays. It's not even correct. Really brought to life nicely by Jojo Chess here. That lovely little frill pattern as well. And you are lovely, but you're sitting in the darkness. So let's go check you out. Yeah, really, really cool looking. Lovely little details on the skull there at the front, above the nasal region. This long swooping back here with this raised, again, the haunches there at the front. Two really cool mods to kick things off by Jojo Chess. And our next mod is a Diabloceratops. So basically this is part of Glitch's Ceratopsian bundle by Glitch and Trip. And oh, this one's dead. And well, we've just talked about Diabloceratops, and what I'm going to do is we've got a few packs to show off today, 2 packs in particular, and you'll see this going forward. I kind of feel bad that I don't show off everything in the pack, but not every creature in the packs is going to get a full focus, showcase, written display kind of thing. But I'm going to show you them very briefly. This one's taking a little longer as I explain, but I'm going to show you them in-game anyway, because this is a really fantastic looking Diabloceratops. I love those stripes down the back there. Again, that sort of bizarre sort of smiley face pattern along the frill, and lovely little colour detail there on the snout just beyond the beak. And the second part of Glitch's Ceratopsian bundle is Aguja Ceratops. So this is the one we'll be talking about a little bit more. Am I crazy in thinking that Aguja is the skull in Lockwood Manor that the Indoraptor falls on at the end of Fallen Kingdom and impales itself? Anyways, very cool looking mod. Aguja Ceratops, another late Cretaceous US Ceratopsian, this time hailing from Texas. Now, due to limited material and people being super duper busy, it would take 68 years for Aguja Ceratops to be defined as such. It was originally discovered all the way back in 1938, but it wasn't even described initially until 1989, where it was placed as a species of Chasmosaurus. Now, further analysis in 2006, which to me doesn't feel that long ago, but it was freaking 19 years, then defined Aguja as its own genus, and even later they added a second species, so Aguja Ceratops as a genus now contains 2 distinct species. Aguja likely lived in a swampish sort of environment and would have been preyed upon, this is pretty cool, by the likes of Dinosuchus. And brought to life really well here by Glitch and Trip as well. Really like that striping on the horn. It's unusual and it's not dissimilar to sort of some stuff we see in some modern ungulates and stuff like that. And it's just really unique and really makes it stand out. And it's kind of carried on along the frill there with this kind of dotted rippling pattern. It makes it really stand out. This lovely swathe of cream there, it's a strange sentence, breaking through into the body, and then kind of love how it covers the lower jaw as well. It's a really nice little detail. Little speckled pattern there along the back. 2 very cool Ceratopsians. 2 Diabloceratops in like a single week. And an Aguja. We never get Ceratopsians, and now we've got 3 beautiful new ones. Not really sure what just happened. So this is our Simolestes by Chocolate. I think only one came out. I think the others bugged. Simolestes, there we go. The snub-nosed thief. This is a pleosaurid that lived in the mid to late Jurassic of at least England, but possibly around the rest of the world as well. Now, I learned a lot of new things while researching. Is this really... Are you trapped? I'm just going to try to get this one out. Let me see if I can... Yeah, there we go. Out you pop. Ignore the others in there for now. You'll see why they're there later on. So, yeah, I learned quite a lot of new things whilst researching Simolestes. Simolestes? Simolestes? No idea. So let's go through some of those here. Now, for example, Simolestes, like other plesiosaurs, possessed salt-secreting glands. This is something a lot of oceanic animals have today, actually. Turtles and seabirds and sharks, etc., etc. As it allows them to consume seawater, which kind of happens when you're swimming in it, and then rid yourself of that excess salt. Recent evidence, not sure what that is. Recent evidence suggests that Simolestes and other places, I'm leaning towards Simolestes now, and other plesiosaurs had a unique, it's called a bow plan, or body plan for movement. Basically, a bow plan is a set of morphological structures and formations and the way your body is put together, basically. That's common to many animals. And what this means is that plesiosaurs moved uniquely through the water despite inhabiting the same environments as modern animals. Finally, Simolestes was likely tutophagous, which basically means that it fed on cephalopods, i.e. mollusks. And that is a word I will instantly forget. So, Simolestes here by Chocolate. Very cool. Chocolate brings a lot of fantastic mods to the game. This is no exception. Those big jutting... That's a tongue right there, son. Those big jutting teeth is something we see all the time on aquatic animals because it makes them very adept at grabbing hold of fish. You're not wiggling out of that mouth anytime soon. Not that you would want to. It's got really interesting patterning going on here. It's got this kind of like ink spill almost effect. It looks inky somehow, which feels very appropriate for the aquatics. And it's kind of unique in its plesiosaurs as well. It's quite small compared to the other plesiosaurs we have in the game at the moment. It's got that lovely little stubby tail. And yeah, like half of the thing, despite being snub-nosed, is, you know, half of it is face. Just a really, really cool plesiosaur to add to the collection. Stands out, looks unique, and has a wild-ass tongue as well, which is always a benefit. Oh, you're a ghost in the back. Right, our next animal is Kelenken by Glitch, Trip, and Chocolate. The people who just keep showing up these days. This is a forest raccoon, of course, a terror bird from Argentina of 15 million years ago. Really not that long. Excuse me, I'm talking to YouTube. Really not that long ago if you think about it. Oh, we're over in it. Now, Kelenken was actually discovered by a high school student in Patagonia, so, you know, there's hope for all of us. You never know, folks. There is hope for all of us yet. You don't need to be a paleontologist, just exist in the world. Preferably in Patagonia, admittedly. Standing at up to 9.8 feet tall, which is absolutely terrifying, Kelenken is the largest of the terror birds. Now, there is a related terror bird called Andalgalornis, which also lived in Argentina, and it was recently studied and found to have an incredibly stiff skull. It was very excited, its skull. And what this suggests, and therefore possibly applies to Kelenken as well, is that they likely swallowed whole smaller prey. They swallowed smaller prey whole. It's been a very long day, but much more terrifying. They would have taken down larger prey with repeated brutal strikes at the beak, because the head is so solidified and ready they can kind of use it as a jackhammer to hammer down with the beak. But you're very cute, so I'm going to assume that you're a good egg. That beak is humongous though. Look at, I don't know what's going on with the eyes. That is nightmare fuel. But the beak is absolutely humongous, as you would expect. You can definitely see how that thing would be used as a powerful weapon. Yeah, looks really cool. Those tiny little wings really make it stand out. They look very unique, as well as the tail as well. A lot of the sort of feathered creatures in this game, the feathered dinosaurs, have big long tail fans and stuff like that, but Kelenken's just got this weird little stubby thing going on, which is very, very unique. Let's get a look at it there in the light. This lovely speckled kind of shifty pattern there along the body, fully feathered as you would expect. Big ominous beak, terrifying eyeballs, lovely jubbly, and those adorable little front feathers on the wings there. So as with before, I'm going to show you another pack. This is a humongous pack, the Life Around Water pack, made by, this is a hell of a list, made by Game Videos for Life, Darky, Trip, Boxfee, Goji, Gushy, and Syntech. Now this adds in 7 brand new species. I am going to show you 3 of them in this video in a second with all their lovely eyes. Great look at that in the mist. It adds in 7 new species in total, but I'm going to show you a few of them just nice and quickly like this. So this is the Irritator, our new Spinosaurid. We've talked about Irritator quite a lot fairly recently as well. Interesting little detail there beyond the eye. But so as I say, this is part of the Life Around Water pack. What the devil are you doing, son? Clocking in a little bit larger, part of the same pack, we also have Ichthyovenator, another dinosaur we've talked quite a lot about recently as well. Really like this pattern of these little blue-ringed octopus jellyfish looking monstrosities here that get really small there around the jaw, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger until they're splotching all over the thighs there, which are beautifully scaled. It's got that double hump that you would expect there, the kind of undulation in the spine, in the vertebra. Big, long, paddle tail, just not like excessively paddled tail, and even had its fingers done all nice to look, just wants to look pretty for you, don't you, Ichthy? Yes, I do. That's what Ichthyovenator sounds like, by the way. Also part of the same pack, we have Scaparnoranchus, which I believe is a long-nosed shark-esque creature, and I believe this one has a pretty cool extra thing in that if we shift over to nighttime there, yes, as you can see, it's got a lovely looks pattern, looks very, very cool at nighttime. Love how the eye itself has been ringed in the looks. That is bizarre stuff. Doesn't look like Evolution 2, does it? But very, very, very cool. Really stands out with that. Again, it's smaller, and it's, you don't expect this kind of thing on a shark-esque fish, but it's got that kind of, stay away, I'm poisonous, please don't try to eat me kind of vibe going on, which is a vibe I try to, take on to my own life. Of course, I've managed to pick a single glowing skin, but it's very pretty, the glowing skin. Now, whilst we're down here, let's shift over let's go midday for now, and this big thing over here is a Himalayasaurus, the last one in this pack that we won't be doing a full lucky loot at, but as you can see, it's a giant ichthyosaur, really, really large up there with, it's interesting, it's kind of like a mid-size between our regular ichthyosaur and our Shonisaurus. Doesn't seem to be quite as big as the Shonisaurus, but definitely has a sizable heft to it, but body shape-wise, more standard ichthyosaur, I would suggest, than the Shoni is. It's less plump. But yeah, really cool. Kind of fits in a niche of that mid to large size ichthyosaur there. A gigantic curved moon tail. Very cool stuff. We do have 3 more animals to look at in this pack though, so let's go check them out. I keep forgetting that the fake aviary thing that I'm using here, the mod, it breaks the sound, I'm sorry. But this is a beautiful looking Hatzegopteryx. The Adstarchid from Hartag Island, of course, in Romania. And really something I think we all expected to make it into Jurassic World Evolution 2 at some point. This was the dominant predator in its landscape. And actually, it was the largest terrestrial predator in all of Europe during this time of the Cretaceous. So Hatzegopteryx was like the apex predator of Europe, essentially. If it had bothered to, spread around a little bit, it probably could have dominated the entirety of Europe. Most of the mega carnivores were contained to North America and also more sort of Asia at that point in time. You've really chosen an awkward place to sit, guys. Hatze was similar in many ways to other large Adstarchids. It's often compared, of course, with the Quetzalcoatlus that we already have in the game. But Hatzegopteryx had an unusually robust skull and neck, capable of withstanding forces way higher than its relatives. Now this would have helped Hatzegopteryx take down the far larger prey that it loved to hunt, whereas other large Adstarchids would maybe swallow a human whole. Just keep that in mind. That's like a small prey for the Hatzegopteryx, which would have taken down iguanodontids, other Adstarchids, and even small titanosaurs. As I say, this thing really was an apex predator. Let's take a good look at it. As you can see, we've got this absolutely beautiful prehistoric planet sort of design here. That sort of coloration there around the skull is pulled straight from the dancing Hatzegopteryxes on the beach from Prehistoric Planet. Didn't go well for that one there, but it's going much better for this one here as it glides through the tree line. Looks really, really cool. Again, a creature I really wanted in the game, so really nice to see here as part of this Life Around Water pack that it's been brought to life. Detail there with a little eyeball on it is something we see so much, kind of like an intimidation tactic. And then the way the black swoops in really hard there at the sort of the top and the base of the skull and then kind of fades down into the body. It's just a really... I really hate that animation with all my heart. Oh, hey little guys. It's so tiny! So, also part of that same pack is Trophosuchus, the triple crest crocodile, is a crocodilian from Australia and the the Miocene epoch. This teeny crocodilian is so small and it's got some other sort of morphological features that contribute to this. It was initially thought that all the specimens we have for this guy were juvenile. We really thought we just never found an adult because it's so small and so many of its, you know, things like how kids have the bones sort of more fused together. We had similar things going on here for Trophosuchus. Now that has been argued against since, and it's instead claimed that Trophosuchus was simply a dwarf animal that underwent neoteny. Now this causes pedomorphism, which basically means that an adult animal has retained traits usually reserved for young of the species. So if you see the same thing in humans, that would mean that the adult would have, say, a larger head, because babies have gigantic stupid heads, or a flatter face, because babies have gigantic stupid flat faces. And the same applies for Trophosuchus. It just has features that it retains all the way from birth, all the way from juvenilehood, all the way to adulthood. Yeah, you can see why I picked this one out from the pack. I really just picked my favourites from the pack, basically, or ones I thought were a little bit more interesting. It's a very cute little crocodilian. Nice little dash of colour there above the eyes. There's not much else to say about it, I just think it's really cute. So, oh, I like the spotted one as well, that's pretty sweet. Oh lord, he's coming. So again, another one I picked out just because I thought it was much more interesting. This is Saphiracodon, the snake tooth. Don't know why I did that. This is a synapsid from the late Carboniferous of North America and Europe. Now, whilst Saphiracodon is present here in the Life Around Water pack, recent evidence does suggest it may have lived an entirely terrestrial lifestyle. It does have some features that suggest a love of the wet, because who doesn't? Like, it's got lots of very small teeth, as we've seen in several animals so far today as well. That makes it perfect for hunting fish, because it means the wiggliness can't get away. It also has broad claws. The front claws in particular are very broad, which is perfect for paddling through water. But it turns out a lot of these same features, the teeth and the broad claws in particular, are present in many early tetrapods, even ones which we know would have been exclusively terrestrial. So even if they know any of the water, they hate the water, water's stupid. The other tetrapods also had these really broad claws and a few of the other features, so we can't really use them as conclusive evidence that it was semi-aquatic or aquatic. It's still debated, basically. But either way, this 10-foot long synapsid was large and very powerful for its time, would have been dominating the landscape in which it lived. And looks really cool, really interesting. Don't really have anything like this in the game. This is the kind of thing I want to see more and more of in Jurassic World Evolution 3 for sure. You know, there's a whole world of creatures out there, and we've got most of the big dinosaurs, so maybe it's time to start expanding into some synapsids and some other interesting stuff like that a little bit more. It kind of has like a bit of Komodo dragon monitor lizard going on, but then it's got this really interesting skull shape. It kind of swoops downwards. It's unlike anything else I've seen in the game so far, which I think is really cool. Really nice faded texture. It's got this kind of Australian coloration vibe going as well, which I really like. And, yeah, I think it's been really nicely rigged more than anything else. Wouldn't mind some like count shading or like something to break up the coloration, but beyond that, I think this is not you though. That just looks like a like a naked mole rat and a Komodo dragon hooked up, and that's not something I want to think about. There they are. Honestly, folks, this is the animal I was most excited about today. This is the one I've been most looking forward to checking out in-game, and I can see why. What do you mean I can see why? I said it. But it's... yeah, I have no regrets. This is I should have practiced the bloody name. Odobenocetops. Odobenocetops by Hatzegopteryx. Really was the thing I was most excited about. I mean, look at this thing. It's so cool looking. What a baller. Odo, I'm going to call you Odo, is a small toothed whale from Chile and Peru. What you might notice looking at this, I'm going to pause it for just a second. This is a really interesting detail if you look at it from underneath and look at the head there at the... Let me just make sure you've got that right. It's back bang in the middle of your screen, actually. What you might notice looking at this is that the tusks are asymmetrical in size. Now, what this means, actually, is that all these Odos are male, because this seems to be a sexually dimorphic trait, with females of the species having... They do have tusks, unlike, say, some modern toothed whales, but the females in Odo do have tusks, but they're evenly sized, so it's a dimorphic trait. Now, I'm really curious how this works for mating. Is more asymmetry a positive? Hey baby, look at me, how much bigger this tusk is than the other tusk? Is that a good thing? I don't know. And our final... Oh, see you later, buddy. Let me just grab these again. I'm assuming that's the case, though, because it makes your other tusk look bigger, right? If one's smaller. Final new thing for the day as well that I learned lots of things today, very exciting. The melon. The melon is a fatty sensory, not just like a melon. The melon is a fatty sensory organ that's associated with, with echolocation in toothed whales. Odo, slightly oddly, or odoli, seems to lack a melon, given its sort of skull shape and stuff like that. It doesn't seem to have room for this, or the attachments for this sensory organ that most toothed whales do have. What it would have had, though, and how it would have compensated for that lack of echolocation, it would have had vastly superior eyesight compared to most toothed whales out there. So it lacks the big fancy features, but it's kind of got its own way of compensating and surviving. This thing is really, really cool, really unique, really beautiful looking, kind of cute in its own weird way, despite the haunting eyes. Those asymmetrical tusks, I love that they've been included. Oh, I mean, how cute is that? The asymmetrical tusks are fantastic. Got this big flappy lip here. It's chubby, it's got all that blubber going on. It's a toothed whale, which is just something we just don't see. You know, we never see whales, we very rarely see mammals at all. And not only is it, unique in that context, but it's just a unique looking toothed whale as whales go. We aren't quite done though, just one more thing to show you. You may have noticed throughout the video that we've had these decorations going on. These bridges and the, I'm always going to forget what this is called. I knew. Torii? I think it's a Torii gate, isn't it? So we've got the Torii, and we've got this pagoda up here in the distance. I'm just going to bring you... Where are we going? We're going over here. So this is the Japanese directions pack by Viral Cyclops. Adds some of the coolest decorations in the entire game to the game. You may have seen this recently as part of Evolution Square's sort of park building, Japan park building escapades, now that Evo is using mods, which is very cool. And I'm just going to show you all the pieces on it. So we've got the gate there, we've got a little bridge here, we've got a much smaller gate, which kind of looks like an angry face. We've got a couple little things, can't remember what they're called. We've got the big pagoda there, which is, I initially saw this, I saw that Evo had started doing modding, and I saw this in the thumbnail for one of the videos or something, and I thought, how the hell has she built that using Evolution 2? I thought she constructed it from individual pieces, and I was staggered, but this makes a lot more sense, because, yeah, I don't know how you would do that, but yeah, very, very cool. Got another bridge over here with a little sort of hut thing in the middle, and then you got a full wall pack as well. You can connect all these together. I haven't, but really nice. I love that little faded sort of ombre texture we've got going on here. Really cool little details. We've got nice little circular doorways. You can make like a little hobbit. Wait, do I want to make back end? We've got so we've got these lovely wall pieces if you wanted to build sort of a Japanese style enclosure. Let me just yep. So yeah, those are all the pieces you get as part of the packs. That is it from me. So shout out to all the mod makers today. They will, of course, as always, be linked in the description of the video down below. It is worth noting there were a lot of mods since I last did one of these videos, so I've already been recording for 40 bloody minutes. I'm going to have to cut the video down. There was a lot of really cool mods. I had to just, pick out my absolute favourites off the bunch, but definitely go check out the Nexus for lots of cool new things that have appeared in the last few weeks. And, here's to a fantastic 2025 for Jurassic World Evolution 2 modding, and then Jurassic World Evolution 3 modding. I'll see you lovely folks very soon. From me, like if you enjoyed the video. Cheers much as always. Bye-bye.
Rainbow Road.